you've been a driving force behind the financial data exchange in the US, which I think you briefly mentioned previously. And it's looking at why individuals don't get the same benefits as big business when it comes to data. So what does this exchange enable, and what lessons can other regions learn in this respect?
We're better together. As an industry, we can do more together than if we try to be independent in every regard. Obviously, in the U.S., we weren't taking a regulation first approach, and yet there was an absolute need to improve both secure access and the technology by which we created interconnectivity. And so it was about bringing like-minded people to the table and recognizing the opportunity to build standards and solutions that actually enhance security, transparency, traceability, the kinds of control and access on the part of the consumer. Provided all of that promise, but it did it in a very consistent, interoperable, safe, and secure way.
How do you think the sector needs to drive open banking globally, and is there a right way? I mean, I know we've talked about kind of customer protection, interoperability, standardization. What are your thoughts on that?
The recognition worldwide that the data that is held with data repositories or data custodians should be readily available and should be accessible, readily accessed by consumers and small and medium-sized businesses. The other things that will be helpful is getting to more of an interoperable standard. I mean, this is all very new. If you think about, tens of thousands of financial institutions, payroll providers, utilities, insurance providers, and we think about open data in that context, to get the world to a place where, data repositories or custodians are standing up, access solutions or ports, API servers in a consistent way, utilizing consistent methodology. That's a lot of work. And this is very new tech for most of these organizations. They haven't put together an outward facing API server that needs to handshake with multiple organizations, needs to understand the bad actors and ensure that there aren't bad actors connecting and needs to apply the appropriate rules for authentication and consent and all of those are big pieces to solve on the international stage, but they are being solved at a tremendous pace. I mean, if you look at the report that you referenced earlier, $400 billion driven within, in total addressable market within the next couple of years. What that means within the next 5 to 10 years is absolutely extraordinary.
I just want to touch on the small fact that you've been bought by MasterCard a year ago. And what does that mean to you and more generally for the whole global open banking field?
Yeah, I think that MasterCard is a top 10 brand throughout the world, and when you think about trust, you think about MasterCard. And so when we had this conversation, just a few minutes ago about trust really being at the center of successful adoption around open banking, I think that's what it means. I mean, it truly means that one of the most trusted brands on the worldwide financial stage has put a major stake in the ground and is moving at pace.
I've got a question here from Slido, and I think it came in a little late for the panel, so I'm giving it to you on the spot. This is from David. He says, what about open banking payments? Can they compete with incumbent payment options in e-commerce, such as credit cards and wallets?
I think that what we're seeing is optionality with respect to payments, right? And I think that the payment networks that are established and working are incredibly important to our economies and our commerce today. That said, they've changed over time, and there have been new methodologies brought to the market in terms of facilitating different approaches to payments. I think open banking is just another one of those, and I think that it's facilitating payments in interesting ways and will solve some problems and challenges that are difficult to solve with existing payment networks. And so I wouldn't look at it as a as a wholesale replacement. I would look at it as a technology that's just going to further enhance our ability to move away from paper to digital.